Most leaders fail before they are betrayed. They fail the moment they confuse loyalty with affection. That is the first delusion. They think the people around them stay because they are admired, because they are fair, because they listened, gave chances, showed patience, stayed humble, stayed human. They think goodwill creates allegiance. It does not. Goodwill creates comfort, and comfort is unstable. Comfort disappears the moment pressure enters the room. Loyalty is not love. Loyalty is not warmth. Loyalty is not applause, smiles, agreement, or long conversations after the meeting ends. Those things are theater, sometimes useful theater, sometimes sincere, but still theater. Loyalty is tested only when there is risk, cost, or temptation. Until then, you are not looking at loyalty. You are looking at convenience wearing a friendly face. This is where naive leaders get cut open. They build teams the way insecure people build friendships. They over-explain, they overgive. They tolerate what should have been corrected early. They mistake emotional closeness for structural strength. They think, if I treat people well, they'll stand by me. That sounds noble. It sounds civilized. It also gets leaders isolated, because in real power structures, people do not bind themselves to sentiment alone. They bind themselves to what feels stable, what feels consequential, and what seems likely to survive. That is the lens shift. A leader who still needs to be liked is not leading. He is negotiating for emotional safety. He is trying to buy loyalty with personality. And personality is a weak currency. It fluctuates. It depends on mood, chemistry, ego, timing, and projection. One bad quarter, one hard decision, one moment of enforced standards, and the same people who praised your humanity start calling you cold, arrogant, disconnected, or changed. You didn't change. The conditions changed, and conditions reveal what feelings conceal. Power strips paint off people. When resources tighten, when status is threatened, when mistakes become expensive, everyone shows their real operating system. Some become sharper. Some become smaller. Some become disciplined. Some become political. But this is the point. Pressure does not destroy loyalty. It exposes whether it ever existed. Weak leaders take this personally. Strong leaders study it. Because loyalty is not a mood. It is a decision reinforced by structure. It grows where there is clarity, consequence, credibility, and direction. People stay loyal to leaders they believe can protect the mission, carry the burden, and outlast chaos. Not because those leaders are the nicest person in the building, not because they are endlessly understanding, but because they represent order in a world that punishes drift. That is what most people never say out loud. Human beings talk morality, but they organize themselves around security, status, and survival. They call it culture. They call it chemistry. They call it trust. Sometimes it is trust, but underneath the polished language is a more primitive calculation. Is this leader stable? Is this structure real? Is there advantage in staying? Is there danger in leaving? Does this person fold under pressure, or do they become clearer? That is how loyalty is measured. Not in poetry, in pressure. And once you understand that, you stop craving signs of devotion that mean nothing. You stop overvaluing enthusiasm. You stop being seduced by verbal allegiance. Anyone can sound committed when the room is warm. Anyone can promise loyalty when there is no price attached. Anyone can act devoted when staying costs nothing. The real test is friction. Who tells you the truth when it is costly? Who holds the line when your name is no longer enough? Who remains disciplined when reward is delayed? Who protects standards when you are absent? That is loyalty, not emotional intensity, not public praise, not symbolic gestures. Behavior under pressure, alignment under strain, consistency when nobody is watching. This chapter matters because if you miss this, everything after it gets corrupted. You will reward the wrong people, promote the wrong people, trust the wrong signals. You will build a court instead of a command structure. And courts are full of performers. They smile while the floor rots beneath you. So the first death required of a serious leader is simple. Kill the fantasy that loyalty is something you are owed for being good. It is not owed. It is not gifted. It is not spoken into existence. It is built, tested, maintained. And if you cannot separate love from loyalty, you will spend your leadership life embracing the very people already calculating your replacement. If Chapter 1 destroyed the illusion, Chapter 2 installs the machinery. Because once you stop confusing loyalty with love, the next question becomes unavoidable. What actually creates it? Not the fantasy, not the corporate slogan, not the sentimental fiction leaders repeat because it flatters their self-image. The real mechanism. Here it is. Loyalty is built on 4 pillars: predictability, protection, consequence, and advantage. Miss even one, and what you call loyalty becomes temporary cooperation. Start with predictability. People stay close to leaders they can read, not because those leaders are soft, but because they are coherent. Their standards do not mutate with mood. Their values do not disappear under stress. Their reactions are not random. A predictable leader creates a stable battlefield. People know where the lines are. They know what earns trust, what breaks it, what gets rewarded, what gets removed. That clarity lowers internal chaos. Most weak leaders think unpredictability makes them powerful. They think being mysterious, emotionally volatile, or inconsistent keeps people alert. It does keep people alert. Like prey stays alert around unstable weather. But alertness is not loyalty. It is survival behavior. People do not commit deeply to chaos. They adapt around it, lie to it, or quietly plan their exit from it. Then comes protection. A leader people trust is not one who makes them feel good. It is one who makes them feel defended. Defended from political sabotage. Defended from pointless disorder. Defended from wasted effort. Defended from external threat. This does not mean shielding everyone from discomfort. That is weakness disguised as kindness. Real protection means guarding the mission, guarding standards, and refusing to let parasites feed on the structure. People become loyal when they believe your presence reduces danger, not emotional danger, strategic danger. They watch whether you can make hard decisions without flinching, whether you can absorb pressure without panicking, whether you can confront underperformance without collapsing into apology, whether you can carry tension without needing everyone to like you afterward. If you cannot do that, they may still smile in meetings, but internally they downgrade you, quietly, permanently. Third pillar, consequence. This is where sentimental leaders self-destruct. They want loyalty without enforcement, respect without standards, unity without selection. That is fantasy. Wherever there are no consequences, loyalty decays into opportunism. Because human beings always study the real law of the environment, not the spoken law, the enforced law. If someone violates standards, and stays protected because they are charming, senior, useful, or emotionally close to you, everyone sees it. Instantly, in that moment, your speeches become decoration. The room learns the truth, that your boundaries are negotiable, your values are flexible, and your leadership can be bent by pressure. Once that lesson lands, loyalty does not grow, it fractures. A structure without consequence is a carcass. It may still look intact, but decay has already started. And then the fourth pillar, advantage. This is the one people pretend does not matter because it sounds impure. But it matters. People stay loyal to what strengthens them. That does not always mean money. Sometimes it means status, access, learning, protection, identity, meaning, momentum. A place in something that is ascending rather than collapsing. But there must be an advantage in staying aligned. This does not cheapen loyalty. It explains it. The mature leader understands that loyalty is not sustained by moral lectures. It is sustained when alignment is rational, respected, and reinforced. When people can see that staying with the structure makes them stronger than drifting outside it. When belonging has weight. This is why leadership is not friendship. Friendship can survive ambiguity. Leadership cannot. Friendship can absorb inconsistency longer. Leadership cannot. Friendship can run on sentiment. Leadership dies on it. So when you look around your world, ask harder questions. Are people loyal to you because you are clear, or because you are easy? Because you are protective, or because you are permissive? Because your standards mean something, or because no one fears violating them? Because your direction creates advantage, or because they are temporarily trapped? Those questions matter, because false loyalty looks stable right before it collapses. And this is the deeper truth. People do not stay loyal to the version of you that begs to be understood. They stay loyal to the version of you that makes the environment legible, defends the mission, enforces the line, and moves the structure forward. That is the mechanism, not charm, not warmth, not endless communication, not good intentions. Predictability, protection, consequence, advantage. That is the architecture of real loyalty. Everything else is decoration draped over a power structure you either understand or eventually lose. By the time a leader notices betrayal, it is usually old news. The shift happened earlier, in tone, in timing, in what was not said, in what was delayed, in the subtle withdrawal of force behind words that still sounded respectful. Betrayal is rarely theatrical at first. It is administrative, quiet, polite, efficient. That is why most leaders miss it. They are looking for open rebellion, while the real threat is already changing shape inside the walls. So you need pattern recognition, not paranoia, precision. Because not everyone around you is disloyal in the same way. Disloyalty has species. It wears different masks, follows different instincts, and reveals itself through different behaviors. If you do not know the archetypes, you will keep misreading flattery as allegiance and dependence as devotion. There are three false loyalists every leader must learn to identify. The first is the opportunist. This one does not serve the mission. He serves momentum. He attaches himself to strength, visibility, and advantage. When you are rising, he is close. When you are winning, he is vocal. When your name carries weight, he becomes your echo. He praises decisiveness, mirrors your language, and appears unusually aligned. Weak leaders mistake this for loyalty, because it feels energizing. It feels like support. It feels like being understood. It is not understanding. It is positioning. The opportunist is a weather reader. He tracks status, the way predators track movement in tall grass. He is not committed to you. He is committed to being near whatever looks safest, strongest, or most profitable. The moment your leverage weakens, his temperature changes, not dramatically. That would be too obvious. He simply becomes slower to defend you, quicker to qualify your decisions, more available to rival centers of power. He does not betray with rage. He migrates. By the time a leader notices betrayal, it is usually old news. The shift happened earlier, in tone, in timing, in what was not said, in what was delayed, in the subtle withdrawal of force behind words that still sounded respectful. Betrayal is rarely theatrical at first. It is administrative, quiet, polite, efficient. That is why most leaders miss it. They are looking for open rebellion, while the real threat is already changing shape inside the walls. So you need pattern recognition, not paranoia, precision. Because not everyone around you is disloyal in the same way. Disloyalty has species. It wears different masks, follows different instincts, and reveals itself through different behaviors. If you do not know the archetypes, you will keep misreading flattery as allegiance and dependence as devotion. There are three false loyalists every leader must learn to identify. The first is the opportunist. This one does not serve the mission. He serves momentum. He attaches himself to strength, visibility, and advantage. When you are rising, he is close. When you are winning, he is vocal. When your name carries weight, he becomes your echo. He praises decisiveness, mirrors your language, and appears unusually aligned. Weak leaders mistake this for loyalty because it feels energizing. It feels like support. It feels like being understood. It is not understanding. It is positioning. The opportunist is a weather reader. He tracks status, the way predators track movement in tall grass. He is not committed to you. He is committed to being near whatever looks safest, strongest, or most profitable. The moment your leverage weakens, his temperature changes, not dramatically. That would be too obvious. He simply becomes slower to defend you, quicker to qualify your decisions, more available to rival centers of power. He does not betray with rage. He migrates. Watch for one signal above all. Does this person become more loyal when you become more powerful, or more reliable when you become more vulnerable? That answer tells you everything. The second false loyalist is the dependent. This one is more dangerous because he often feels sincere. He admires you, leans on you, needs your structure, your confidence, your clarity. He may seem deeply committed because he is constantly present, constantly agreeable, constantly seeking direction. But dependence is not loyalty. Dependence is hunger, and hunger becomes resentment the moment feeding stops. The dependent loves what you provide, not necessarily what you represent. He stays close while you regulate his uncertainty, solve his problems, and carry the burden of decision. But if you begin demanding growth, discipline, or self-sufficiency, something ugly surfaces. Gratitude turns to friction. Respect turns to quiet blame. He starts feeling abandoned by the very standards that were supposed to strengthen him. That is the trap. Weak leaders protect dependence because they confuse being needed with being respected. It flatters the ego. It makes them feel central. But people who need you are not always people who will hold the line for you. Many will collapse, drift, or defect the moment your support becomes conditional. The test is simple. When pressure rises, do they become more responsible or more fragile? If fragility expands under accountability, you are not looking at loyalty. You are looking at attachment. The third false loyalist is the mirror. This one is the most sophisticated. The mirror studies you. He reflects your values, your cadence, your frustrations, even your worldview. He seems uncannily aligned because he is skilled at social adaptation. He knows what you admire and performs it back to you with surgical accuracy. He can sound principled, disciplined, and mission-driven. He can even appear more loyal than your oldest allies because he understands the theater of conviction. But the mirror has no center. He does not align from principle. He aligns from utility. Around you, he becomes your reflection. Around someone else, he becomes theirs. His strength is fluidity. His danger is that leaders often trust him fastest because he creates the illusion of deep resonance. This type is especially lethal in high-performance environments because he can survive many rooms. He speaks every dialect of power. He can flatter the strong, reassure the insecure, and sound strategic to the ambitious. If you rely on verbal alignment alone, he will pass every test you do not know how to administer. So what exposes the mirror? One thing: consistency across audiences. Does this person preserve the same principles when your absence creates risk? Do they communicate the same standards upward, downward, and sideways? Or do they become a different creature, depending on who controls the moment? Mirrors are rarely caught by what they say to your face. They are caught by who they become when your shadow is gone. This is why leadership requires more than instinct. You cannot afford to read loyalty emotionally. You must read it behaviorally, under tension, across time, in different rooms. Because the opportunist rides strength, the dependent rides support, the mirror rides proximity. None of them ride principle. And if you cannot distinguish true alignment from these three imitations, you will fill your inner circle with people who look loyal exactly until the cost of loyalty arrives. That is when masks come off. That is when the room gets honest. Most leaders imagine betrayal as an event, a public challenge, a visible rival, a dramatic break, a knife on the table. That fantasy is convenient because it is easy to detect. It gives the ego something cinematic to react to: a villain, a scene, a moment of clarity. But reality is colder than that. In real organizations, in real hierarchies, in real human systems, betrayal rarely enters the room like war drums. It enters like fog, quietly, gradually, without needing permission. That is why so many leaders lose control while still believing they are in control. Decay begins long before defiance becomes visible. First, standards are interpreted instead of obeyed. Then, deadlines soften. Then private conversations become more consequential than public alignment. Then people start waiting to see which way power tilts before they commit themselves. Nothing looks catastrophic. No single act seems large enough to confront. But the structure is already changing. Authority is no longer assumed. It is being measured. This is how erosion works. A fortress is not usually destroyed by one explosion. It is weakened by hairline fractures, moisture in the stone, neglected gates, and guards who stop fearing invasion because peace has lasted too long. Human systems rot the same way, not through obvious rebellion at first, but through tolerated ambiguity, through unanswered small violations, through a leader who delays correction because he wants harmony more than clarity. History keeps repeating this lesson, because human nature does not change. Courts did not collapse because everyone suddenly turned evil. They collapsed because rulers became blind to incentives. Empires were not always overthrown by superior force. Many were hollowed from the inside by indulgence, favoritism, hesitation, and distance between power and reality. Armies break the same way, not when the first soldier complains, but when enough people quietly stop believing the command structure still means. Hatred is loud. Recalculation is lethal. When people begin privately recalculating your usefulness, your strength, your consistency, or your future, betrayal has already begun in its embryonic form. They may still smile, still comply, still perform the rituals of loyalty, but internally, they are moving from allegiance to option management. They are no longer standing with you. They are standing near you while assessing exits, alternatives, and replacements. And most leaders never see this transition because they are addicted to surface signals. They trust tone over trajectory. They trust politeness over behavior. They trust meetings over momentum. They think because no one is openly resisting, the structure is healthy. But silence is not always peace. Sometimes, silence is the sound of people gathering data before they move. This is why human nature must be read without sentiment. People drift toward strength. They hedge around uncertainty. They protect themselves when leadership becomes ambiguous. They begin speaking in safer language when consequences lose sharpness. None of this requires malice. Much of it is instinct, survival, adaptation. The same ancient logic that governs packs, courts, tribes, and markets still governs offices, teams, movements, and institutions. Where the center weakens, the perimeter starts making its own plans. That is not cynicism. That is structure. Look closely at failing leaders, and you will find the same pattern. They were not overthrown in one day. They were gradually downgraded in the minds of the people around them. Their decisiveness became negotiable. Their standards became situational. Their enforcement became selective. And once that happened, loyalty was no longer anchored to the leader. It was anchored to convenience. That is the moment danger becomes historical. Because when loyalty migrates from principle to convenience, collapse is only a matter of timing. This chapter matters because it forces a harder lens. You are not only managing people, you are managing drift. You are watching for slippage in tone, in urgency, in accountability, in private versus public alignment. You are studying not just what people say, but what they postpone, what they soften, what they no longer defend without being asked. Leaders who survive understand this brutal truth. Disloyalty is often not born in confrontation. It is born in tolerated ambiguity. That is where the infection starts. Not with a revolt, with a whisper. Not with a strike, with a pause. Not with treason, with hesitation that goes uncorrected, until the entire structure learns that the center can be tested. And once that lesson spreads, betrayal does not need courage anymore. It only needs momentum. Once you understand that loyalty is not love, not praise, not comfort, and not noise, the next move becomes obvious. You stop trying to be admired. You start building a structure people can trust. fear disappointing, and benefit from protecting. This is where weak leaders split from serious ones. Weak leaders respond to disloyalty emotionally. They become suspicious, dramatic, wounded, reactive. They tighten control in the wrong places, loosen it in the places that matter, and turn leadership into mood management. That only accelerates decay, because when the center becomes emotional, the outer ring becomes political. Strong leaders do something colder. They build an environment where loyalty is not requested. It is selected for, reinforced, and verified. That begins with standards, not inspirational values painted on walls. Operational standards, visible standards, behavioral standards, the kind that define exactly how people speak, deliver, escalate, protect, disagree, and perform under pressure. A structure without standards is not a team. It is a gathering, and gatherings fracture the moment stress arrives. Standards create the first line of loyalty because they remove ambiguity. People know what the kingdom rewards. They know what the kingdom punishes. They know where the walls are. That matters more than most leaders understand. Human beings can survive difficulty. What they cannot navigate for long is uncertainty disguised as leadership. Then you install consequences. This is where most leaders flinch. They want loyalty, but they fear the violence of clarity. Not physical violence, structural violence, the clean incision, the refusal to negotiate with rot. They know someone is undermining standards, draining energy, delaying decisions, or poisoning accountability. But they hesitate because they want to look fair, kind, patient, reasonable. They confuse delay with wisdom. It is not wisdom. It is contamination. When standards are broken and nothing meaningful follows, the entire group receives a silent instruction. The law is decorative. Once that lesson lands, your authority still exists in title, but not in blood. People start reading you the way wolves read a fence they've touched before. If it no longer shocks, it no longer commands. So consequence must be real, timely, calm, measured, not theatrical, not vindictive, surgical. That is the key. Never punish from emotion, correct from structure. The next layer is selective trust. Naive leaders distribute trust like free currency. Serious leaders allocate it like capital, gradually, based on evidence, under pressure, across time. You do not trust people because they are enthusiastic. You do not trust them because they say the right words, stay close, or seem offended when questioned. You trust people who preserve standards when proximity offers them no reward. You trust people who remain coherent when conditions turn hostile. You trust people whose behavior is stable across audiences. Trust should rise in proportion to tested reliability, nothing else. Then comes mission clarity. People stay loyal longer when they understand what they are serving beyond personalities. If your leadership depends entirely on personal chemistry, then every bruise to your image weakens the system. But if the mission is clear, demanding, and larger than any one ego, loyalty has a spine. It has direction. It stops being attachment to a leader's temperament and becomes alignment with a standard that survives moods. This is why serious leaders keep bringing people back to the same question. What are we protecting? Not who is hurt, not who feels overlooked, not who wants an exception. What are we protecting? The mission, the quality, the line, the empire's architecture. Once that becomes central, manipulation loses some of its power. Because the group has a reference point beyond personalities. Reward matters, but most leaders misuse it. They reward visibility over substance, agreeableness over courage, closeness over discipline. That poisons the culture faster than open conflict, because everyone sees who actually advances, and once they see advancement detached from standards, they stop believing your rhetoric. Reward those who tell the truth under tension. Reward those who carry weight without performance theater. Reward those who can disagree without destabilizing the room. Reward those who protect standards in your absence. That is how you train a loyal structure, not by praising everyone, but by elevating the people whose behavior makes betrayal harder to spread. This is the strategic response. Clarify the line, enforce the line, reward those who hold the line. Not louder speeches, not emotional appeals, not loyalty tests designed by insecure leaders trying to force devotion. Real loyalty grows in systems where order is credible. And that is the shift. You stop asking, how do I get people to be loyal to me? You start asking, what kind of environment makes disloyalty expensive, visible, and self-defeating? That is leadership, not seduction, not dependency, not control through charm, structure. And once the structure is real, loyalty stops being a mystery. It becomes the natural byproduct of a system built to survive pressure.